What is your Tinder horror story? First date, she wanted me to get into a bar fight with the perfectly friendly guy who'd bought us a round of shots that night. Why? Because she found out he was a Scorpio. Astrology chicks are crazy. Me and a girl agreed to a hookup. This was a few years ago. We did the traditional swap nudes beforehand to make sure we both liked what we saw, and she shows up to my place 5 months pregnant. I asked what the fuck? She hid that stomach and she said, "Hey, you only asked to see my tits and ass. You never asked for a full body." Touche. But fuck you. Not Tinder, but Match.com, and right in its infancy too long time ago, when it was just weirdos doing online dating. I matched and met up with a girl. She was way hotter than me. Like crazy hot, way out of my league. The date was going super well, and we'd even made out a bit. Couldn't believe my luck. We decided that, as it was going so well, we'd keep it going and headed to a bar. We were getting cozy in a corner when a group of African lads came into the bar. I live in a very homogeneous white country, to the point that would even be noteworthy, especially at that time. She got up off where we were sitting and began shouting abuse at the lads, who came in saying they didn't belong here and dropping the N-word several times. I felt like that moment in a horror movie where the camera sims in on your face and the background zooms out. I just got up and walked out. She tried to call me the next day to set up another date. I just ignored her. Clearly fucking nuts. Too good to be true in the truest sense. We lived about 25 minutes from each other, so agreed to meet at the beach pier about halfway between. Before meeting, we had been texting, and he seemed totally normal. I was already at the pier when he texted me saying he can't meet me there because his license is revoked and it's too far for him to walk. I should have just left then, but I agreed to meet him at a pizza place closer to him. I get there, and I'm standing outside when I see him, and quickly realize the pics from his profile were at least 3 or 5 years old. Homeboy looks like the dollar store version of himself. Greasy. Looks like he hasn't showered in days, hair undone, holes in his shirt. I awkwardly give him a side hug and suggest we get a seat, and he says, "Oh no, we're not getting pizza. Let's go to the park." I awkwardly say okay. And as he talks, I realize his gums and tongue ring are stained black from smoking. By this point, I am completely turned off, and I'm just keeping up with formalities. So we get to the park and find a bench to talk, and before I can sit down, homie pulls me onto his lap, squeezing me and saying, "God, baby girl, you're so fucking cute." I awkwardly scooch away and try to get a conversation going. He pulls out his phone and starts texting for a few minutes, not really listening to me, before interrupting with, "Have you smoked? My friend is a plug. We could go back to my place for a bowl." I decline. "Oh, come on, baby girl. My place is just right there. We could have some fun, too." I decline again. Next thing you know, he pulls me close by the face and whispers, "You're so innocent," before broad-tongued licking my face from chin to ear. Shell-shocked, I just sit there for a moment processing what the fuck just happened as he keeps talking about weed before I decide to fake an urgent phone call and leave. Edit too. No need to worry, guys. I have self-esteem now and would never put up with anything like this ever again. This was 3 years ago when I was 19 and dumb as shit. Matched with my friend's fiancée after the engagement party. Screenshots of everything, and lost my friend because I don't play that. I was uninvited to the wedding. Marriage lasted 18 months. Edit. Since so many have asked, I did not swipe right. I took a screenshot and asked my friend what she wanted me to do. She asked me to swipe right to see if he was active. I did, and he messaged me asking to hook up. I told him off. He still wanted to hook up. I gave her all the screenshots. He uninvited me from the wedding because he was certain I would embarrass him. He was correct. I wouldn't sleep with my friend's fiancé, nor would I pretend that he wasn't a jerk. That's why the friendship ended. She was from a culture that required marriage before children. She was desperate for a baby, and thought he was her last chance. He was running for a public office and wanted the smiling wife and cute baby. Yes, they both used each other. Edited to add, yes, they had a baby. Edited to add, no, he did not get elected. Minus 40% guys seeming hella cool, convincing you to have sex and then ghosting you. After minus 25% depressed guys, talking about how depressed they are without realizing they are depressed. minus 20% guys not over their exes, just wanting to vent. Minus 10% weirdos who are hella awkward and talk about aliens like they're a religion. Minus 5% nice guys who will actually take it somewhere. Met up with a Tinder girl at Dave & Buster's. She brought me there for a fucking pyramid scheme sign-up presentation. Guess I respect the hustle. Happened to me in college, but this was in the early 90s, so no Tinder, obviously. Met this attractive girl on campus. We had coffee, then a lunch. Nothing ever physical, but she seemed into me. One day she calls me, asks me to come by her office. I'm thinking weird, but okay. I go. She meets me and she brings me in this room, and there's about 10 other guys around my age all sitting around this conference table. We're all looking at each other with these expressions on our face. Then the girl comes back in with her boss and the sales pitch started. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out, and no red flags. So we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that, I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, "No, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs, and they look amazing." Gee, this is all before the waitress even brought our drinks. I just got up and left. Maybe he should just go sleep with his mother and sister then? Maybe he already did. This one girl who was a regular came in and told me about an awful Tinder date she had. Not sure of the specifics, but it wasn't bad enough for her to not bring him home afterward. He leaves the next morning, she brushes it off as a one-night stand, and a few days later, her debit card gets declined. Odd, since she's a bartender herself at a fairly busy place in our city, and is good about saving and usually flush with cash. She goes to check her debit card. Turns out there were a bunch of charges at Best Buy, Grubhub, a bunch of other stuff. Curious, she checks her credit card too. There she found a bunch of charges for streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Sling, everything. She goes to confront the guy and finds out he deleted his profile. But she remembers a friend they had in common on Facebook. She reaches out to the mutual friend to try and track him down. And it turns out he did the exact same thing to that mutual friend. Not sure if what the outcome was, but she was out for blood after a mediocre hookup turned into a serious case of identity theft. We were supposed to meet at 9 p.m. He fell asleep and called me at 9:30 when I was already at the carnival. I told him not to bother coming as I didn't want to see him. He asked for another chance and I agreed. Unfortunately, my dad got really ill and had to spend the next 6 weeks in the hospital with me, visiting him daily. I had no time for dates, and he got extremely mad. He made a fake Instagram account, which he used to follow me and everybody that I followed. He then saw me in a friend's Instagram story and showed up to the restaurant we were at. He called me a whore and a liar, and we had to threaten to call the police because he would not leave. First date, we went to see a movie. She brought her sister along, without consulting me first, and I somehow ended up paying for both of their tickets. Bit of a doormat, old me. We went to see Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Turns out neither of them had seen a Star Wars film before, nor had any idea at all what was going on. Awesome! Date ended at McDonald's after the movie with 1 hour plus of her eating fries one at a time, and her sister talking shit about basically everyone at her work. To this day, I'm not sure what that date was even about. There was no second date. It kind of sounds like you were just their free shit ticket, bro. It's happened to me before, too. She was a cute girl. We got burritos. She spent the whole time on her phone while I was trying to get to know her. She never even cared to ask what my name was. I got kind of snappy halfway through the date and said, "Wow, you really love your phone, huh?" Then she even casually mentioned, "I want to get another burrito for later, but I don't have the money." Then I said, "That sucks," and then left her at the restaurant. I felt so disrespected. It ended up being a double date with his mom and her OkCupid date. He told me that he and his mom were a package deal. I was mortified, and there was no second date. This guy asked me if I would be interested in dating his dad. Pretty sure that guy was a catfish of said dad pretending to be Guy.
Thank you very much for watching. In the comments below the video, tell us about your worst online dating experience. And right after that, watch our new coolest videos. Bye!